A serial killer is someone who has murdered 3 or more people over a period of more than a month, with a cooling-off period between murders. The motive is usually based on psychological, often sexual, gratification, though the motives may also include anger, thrill, money, and attention-seeking. Almost all serial killers admit that they started by acting out their fantasies on small animals before they moved to humans, and that animal torture brought them a great source of pleasure. Given that most serial killers are from dysfunctional families, such pathological and abnormal behavior may be ignored. Jeffrey Dahmer's father, for example, had no qualms that his son performed animal dissections. In an effort to establish precise criminal classifications, the FBI distinguishes between serial killing and spree killing. A serial killer always experiences an emotional cooling-off period between his crimes, a hiatus that lasts anywhere from days to years. A spree killer, in contrast, is someone who murders a string of people in several locations with no cooling-off period. Dr. Harold Shipman, 1946 to 2004, is regarded as the most prolific serial killer in modern history, with over 250 murders ascribed to him. He was a British doctor who murdered his patients. The oldest was a 93-year-old woman, and the youngest was a 41-year-old man. He hung himself in his cell in 2004, a day before his 58th birthday. The blockbuster movie Seven is a creepy thriller about a serial murderer who contrives to kill his victims in accordance with the 7 deadly sins: lust, greed, gluttony, sloth, pride, anger, and envy. Another blockbuster about a serial killer is the Oscar-winning thriller Silence of the Lambs. There are 6 phases of the serial killer's cycle. 1. The aura phase, where the serial killer begins losing a grip on reality. 2. The trolling phase, when the killer searches for a victim. 3. The wooing phase, where the killer lures his victim in. 4. The capture phase, where the victim is entrapped. 5. The murder or totem phase, which is the emotion high for the killer, and, finally, 6. The depression phase, which occurs after the killing. Many serial killers are fascinated by authority. They have attempted to become police officers or security guards or have served in the military. Many have also disguised themselves as law enforcement to gain access to victims, such as Ted Bundy, the Hillside Stranglers, and John Gacy. America's first serial killer is considered to be Dr. H. H. Holmes, who confessed to 27 murders in the late 1890s. He claimed that he could not help the fact that he was a murderer, no more than the poet can help the inspiration to sing. Criminologists estimate that at least 86% of male serial killers are heterosexual. While numerically less, homosexual serial killers include some horrific monsters, such as 1942 to 1994, and Jeffrey Dahmer, 1960 to 1994. Most serial killers suffered child abuse. Neglect and child abuse not only impair a child's self-esteem, they also interfere with his or her ability to function in society, succeed academically, and form healthy relationships with people. Because of their psychopathic nature, serial killers do not know how to feel sympathy for others. They learn to simulate normal behavior by observing others, but it is a manipulative act. Henry Lee Lucas described being a serial killer as being like a movie star. You're playing a part. They covet being in the role of authority. Crime Times reports that psychopaths have a greater fear threshold and are less likely to respond to fear-inducing stimuli. In other words, they may be immune to fear. Additionally, their startle reaction was significantly less than the average person, meaning they need a higher level of thrill or stimulation in order to have an intense experience.